You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today we welcome in Maria Monroy, co-founder and president at LawRank, a premier legal marketing agency with the goal to get attorneys on Google's first page. Maria is also the host of a brand new podcast, Tip the Scales. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing well. It's good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for coming virtually into Lawyer Stories headquarters. I'm very excited to talk to you, as I've seen you on Instagram a lot, doing your thing. And welcome in. So first, let me say, I love your Instagram stories, and I want to say this because, as a business owner, like you are, I think it's good what you do. You show the person who you are. I think you let people into what you're doing. And I think if I was shopping around for SEO or any type of business, I would love that. I would love to see somebody who actually wants to try to connect with me on a different level. So I think keep doing what you're doing. I love your Instagram. It's terrific, and so is your website. I was there earlier. So give us some background. This is Lawyer Stories, so we're going to get to LawRank and your podcast, but just give us some quick background, where you're from.
So originally I was born in Mexico. I moved to San Diego when I was 7 or 8. Eventually I moved to LA. I think I was 21 or 22. That's where I met Mariano, who's my husband and business partner. And he started LawRank. I can't take credit for it.
Okay.
And it was a total accident almost. He was in law school at the time. He was attending UCLA, and his brother, who is a criminal defense lawyer at the time, he was a prosecutor, asked him, "Hey, can you create a website for me? You're pretty techie. I'll pay you a couple grand, just, figure it out how to do a website." So it was summer and my husband had nothing better to do. He's like, "Okay, I'll figure it out." So he did the website, and then he became fascinated by this idea of how does Google choose who to show when someone is looking for a criminal defense lawyer? Long story short, he got him ranking, wasn't even being paid for it at the time. His brother started signing up cases, and then other law firms started calling him. So one day we just kind of looked at each other and we were like, all right, well, we should just start an agency.
So Mariano figured it out by himself at his brother was like, "Hey, I need a website. Here's some dough, do it." He figured it out and it worked. His brother started getting cases. And so other people started coming to Mariano and saying, "Hey, help me out." Where was he in law school when this happened?
I think it was his second year, and he had started, it was part-time. So I think typically, you tell me, is law school typically 3 or 2 years?
It's 3 years.
3.
Yeah.
So he was doing a 4-year.
If you're full-time. If you're part-time, it's 4, but whatever.
Yeah, so it was a 4-year program. So I think it was his second or third year. I can't recall. But by the time that it was almost his come in, by the time it was, sorry, hold on, here's my drink. Are you happy now? So I
don't know what she's talking about, everybody else.
We should point out that
I don't know what she's talking about.
I haven't drank all week. Today's Friday.
I would like to point that out. Let's get that on the record. Maria Monroy has not had anything all week. I said, you should relax. It's an exception to the Lawyer Stories podcast. I do like to invite my friends, or my guests rather, to be casual and comfortable in conversation. So go ahead. Okay, so she was
Ben hasn't learned that you should never tell a woman to relax. No, I get it. I feel like I can do these without alcohol. But anyways, so I don't know. Point is, he was second or third year and he almost didn't finish. He was like, there's no point in me finishing this. Like, this is what I want to do with my life.
Right.
So passionate about this. And I was like, wait a minute, we are like $200,000
Yeah, right.
And you never know how you could utilize, that law degree. So he was like, no, I know. So he finished, but he never took the bar. So he finished, he graduated. By that time, we were like a full-on agency. And then the rest.
Okay, so back up, full-on agency. So you must have had, while he was studying, unless he's one of those people who could just like look at the book and like get his assignment and he's done, like you must have had a big role in that, right? Like becoming.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, none. At that time, none. So we have really intense lives for some odd reason. We also at that point had two really young kids. Like we had two kids under 2 at some point. And then maybe like 4 years in, I started being more active and then I got pregnant again and just completely stopped again. And then when my daughter was like 1.5, that's when I came on full time, which was about almost 4 years ago.
That's awesome. What was that like? Like, what did you start doing for LawRank when you first came on? Because obviously, like, he had built this thing, like, second year law school, like, I mean, that's huge. He makes a decision. He's like, this is what I want to do. Something went off in him where, maybe Mariano was just like, I want to do this instead. This is me. And then, you come in, kid's 1.5, you're ready to start working. Like, how did you like progressively get going with it?
So initially the thought was always, my background is sales and management.
Great.
So the idea was that I would handle that part. So one day he looks at me and he goes, hey, I'm going to hire someone to do the sales for LawRank because, you're a stay-at-home mom. And I looked at him and I was like, absolutely not. I start tomorrow. And at the time, our housekeeper had been with us for probably 2 years at that time.
Nice.
And she came in the next morning and I was like, hey, do you want to just work 40 hours a week and watch Chloe? And she was like, yes. And I was like, okay, done. And I just like hit the ground running. And yeah, the rest is literally history.
How long ago was it? Like what year? Do you remember?
So Chloe was 1.5 and she's about to turn 5. So 3.5 years ago. It was pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. Okay. Yeah, that's sort of that's 2 years like before COVID. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's interesting. Like, do you feel that Mariano being an attorney, like having a law school education, like helps the business at all? How does that help?
Absolutely. So when it comes to SEO, a huge part of SEO is content.
Yep.
And he came up with our content process, and we actually only hire attorney writers. So you at least have to have a JD. You don't have to be licensed, but you have to have attended law school, which I don't know of any other agency that can say that.
That's amazing because you know what? Like when people try to just find jobs as like JDs, it's kind of hard, So like you sound like a good agency to apply to if you're a JD and like, aren't taking the bar, want to get into that sort of thing. Like that's really cool that you have jobs out there for JDs.
Absolutely. Definitely. If you are a lawyer that doesn't want to practice law, we actually have multiple positions for you.
Yeah.
Email me. Yeah. So that was like, obviously he understands what he's learned about the law. He also worked at his brother's law firm.
Right.
So he's done intake, he's done paralegal work, and he's just really knowledgeable. So he came up with our content process. It's an 8-step content process. And now we have a director of content who's an attorney, and we have attorney editors and attorney writers.
Really? A director of content who's an attorney? And you guys specialize? Do you only do attorney websites and?
Yeah, we only.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Primarily, yeah.
So you're obviously you're not a law firm, but we're going to talk about like everything that you offer, but it's in the legal industry, and you have attorneys working for you. So like, how much better can it really get than that, right?
Well, who's better to synthesize the law than a lawyer?
Good word, synthesize. Love that word. Nice.
Yeah, because if you think about it, one of the biggest complaints that we hear from law firms about their previous marketing agencies is that the content was awful and that the law was cited incorrectly. There were things on there
Really?
that should, yeah. And that's why we are so passionate about having high quality content.
And you know what's really cool, and I do believe that 100% because I read about LawRank. You guys almost hope that somebody goes to another firm to do their SEO before they come to you. Is that right?
Yeah, we're like the fifth, sixth agency on average. A few clients.
Say that again. You're the what?
We're typically like the fifth, sixth agency that a law firm will hire. I know some clients that were like their eighth, and they were like, "You are our last hope. Like, if it doesn't work with you, I'm done." Thank God it worked. Now, some clients have gotten lucky, and we've been their first agency. Like, they go start a firm and we're their first, but that's rare. That's really rare. And it's always interesting when I talk to someone that's never worked with an agency because they're not jaded. So it's a very different conversation, but they're also more vulnerable because they haven't learned what it's like out there.
So, Maria, like talking about working with an agency, tell us what LawRank offers to these law firms.
Absolutely. So we offer web design, we offer SEO and SEM. That's our primary focus. We are known for SEO. And again, we primarily work with PI. That's just been by chance. We also work with family law, criminal defense. You do have to be a B2C law firm. We don't work with B2B because we don't believe that we can.
BDC, can you tell me what that is?
Business to consumer.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't believe we can provide an ROI for a B2B law firm at this point in time.
Okay. All right. So when somebody says, "Hey, Maria," like say a firm called you and was like, "Hey, I need some help. Like I've heard about you guys. I've tried a couple other firms and they're just like not doing it for me. I'm not getting recognized. I'm not getting the hits I want. I'm not getting the cases I want." What is like the process for them to go through you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we start off with looking at the competitors. We look at the three, we call them internally non-negotiables. So when it comes to SEO, you're looking at about 200 plus metrics. But there are three that are the most important, meaning if you don't meet these three metrics, there's just no hope for you. And what I tell everybody is when you're thinking about doing SEO, or when you start doing SEO, if you compare your project to your project, it's completely pointless. It's like saying, I want to be a professional soccer player and I'm going to compare my ability against my own ability. Oh, I've improved this much. Okay, but what about the professional players, the ones that are actually doing what you want to be doing? So we have to start by looking at the firms that are on the first page in their market and looking at these three metrics, which are referring domains, content, and organic traffic. And we can get more into it if you want. And we want to compare them to that firm's metrics and say, this is the average. We take the top 5 ranked firms. This is the average. This is where you're at.
Okay.
So we have to bridge that gap, right? Okay. So it really starts off with really being educational. You know, like a lawyer that I met at a conference the other day said to me, you know, I'm not ready to do this. I don't want to waste your time and jump on an introductory call. And I said, dude, don't worry about it. I'm happy to educate you. Like,
that's nice.
That's nice. Call.
No, that's nice. I mean, because some people aren't sure. You know, they don't know if their firm's like big enough to go with a firm like LawRank to help them out or not. So I think that's like a good approach. And by the way, when you talk about LawRank, Maria, like you're very passionate. Like I could tell you're passionate what you do, and I think that's so important. So, and that you could tell it's like an integral like part of your life, like based on your social media and like how you talk about it. And I think that's really cool. So tell us, like, why is SEO? First of all, tell us what it is, and then in your words, and then tell us why it's so important.
So SEO is search engine optimization. So it just means that when you Google something, and we're focusing on, I don't want to get overly technical, but a commercial intent keyword. So in our space, we have 2 types of keyword: informational, which is what the majority of us do on Google. We have a question, we're looking for an answer. And we actually have to meet those informational intent searches in order to be able to rank our clients for commercial intent. So commercial would be personal injury lawyer, car accident lawyer, criminal defense lawyer, divorce lawyer, those types of terms.
Right. Okay.
right? So the goal is to rank top 3 organically
Okay.
and locally. So in the map pack and
Okay.
organically. And yes, I'm very passionate.
No, for sure. Like you could
Yeah.
tell. You could tell when somebody's going through the motion and when somebody really likes what they do. So can people just come to you and get like some services, or do they have to get the whole package? Like, do you sort of do, hey, we'll do your website, but, or can they say, hey, you have an existing website, but we want to like change some things so you show up in like Google? How does it work?
I'm going to give you a lawyer answer. It
It
depends. No, I'm
depends.
just kidding.
It depends. You're gonna say it
It,
depends. Okay.
yeah, it was. Yeah. I love that, by the way. We can definitely offer website standalone. We do it all the time. We are a high-end design agency, and we've done, I don't even know how many websites at this point for law firms. However, for SEO, typically, this is where the it depends comes in. Typically, you have to redo the website. I would say 95% of the time. There are exceptions where we say your website, the way that it's coded on the back end, is structurally sound for SEO. So there's no need for you to redo your website. But again, that
Okay.
maybe happens 9 out of 10 times, not even, probably, again, 95% of the time. We redo it 5%. We say, no, there's no need for you to redo your website.
Really? Okay. And you just help them with like the SEO piece.
Yes, as long as, again, their website is like, it's conversion driven and the coding on the back end is done a specific way.
It's amazing. Do you see like these results with clients that they tell you? I mean, tell me about like, well, you could work in the 5-star review. Like, I'm wondering like how important that is with like Google reviews with like, have you had clients come back and say, holy cow, like you really made a difference in my firm?
Oh, absolutely. Some just stay really quiet. I think they're afraid we're going to raise prices. Some are super transparent. I have a client that we signed not long ago. This is a criminal defense client, maybe like 2 months ago. And for criminal, it's much easier because, again, we're primarily in a PI space where it's super competitive and we do amazing. But when you take on a criminal defense firm, it's just so much easier, right? So he got results within like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I get an email every time he signs up a case. And he tells me
Really?
like, I signed them for 20,000 and they paid 5,000 upfront. And he like breaks it all up. And I am just like, wow, I love these emails and this like level of transparency. But yes, in 2021,
That's
we
so
didn't.
cool. Like that must make you feel so good.
Oh, I tell him like he makes my day. So he it's like
Yeah.
he eggs it on. He's like, well, I'm gonna keep sending them. It's not like I'm his project manager. He's just like completely jumping the project manager to come to me. He's like,
Right.
I'm gonna keep doing this until you tell me to stop. And I'm like, go for it. So we get these emails from like
That's
literally
good. I
always.
think that's great. They look at you like these law firms that you sign up are looking at you as a project manager. Like they kind of come to you for accountability because you've worked so closely with them. I think that's huge.
But yeah, definitely. Our purpose is to change the way law firms feel about their marketing agency. That is our purpose. And that starts off with results, with our project managers being responsive, with our company being transparent. But definitely, we didn't lose one PI client in all of 2021, which is unheard of from an
Wow.
agency standpoint.
So that,
We,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and we have clients that will literally provide us a list of like, these are all the signups we've had for the month. Some don't track it as well, but they know that there's a significant increase. Some are, again, super transparent, like to the dollar amount. Like, this is what we're projecting we're going to collect on these
Do you
cases.
raise the prices when they're like, hey, I just made like a
No,
okay.
no, no. We
Good. Well,
haven't,
that's good.
no, we haven't raised prices in 5 years. We really should because of inflation, but no, we have not. Maybe
So
eventually.
so like what's the biggest mistake lawyers are making while marketing, would you say?
There are a lot. This is one of my favorite subjects.
Yeah, let's hear it.
One, I would say, is making a price-driven decision
Okay.
when hiring an agency. Number 2 is not really managing their intake correctly. It's not a set and forget. You have to continuously listen and spiff people or just really have a lot of accountability and a lot of standard operating procedures when it comes to
Really?
this. Yeah. My favorite
When you say
client,
set and forget, for me, that's like a fantasy football thing. Like you set your lineup and you forget it for the weekend, so you don't like keep tinkering with it. So like you probably, I don't, anyway. So with, right. So when you say set and forget, like, can you just explain that a little bit more?
yeah, like they'll train the intake specialist and then that's it. And
Okay.
then they'll never
Okay.
listen to a call again. I had one client that on a call, like right before they signed up or right after, they were like, my intake is perfect. That's the best intake. I was like, okay, I'm going to secret shop you. He was so sure of him. Go ahead, secret shop me. My intake, everybody says their intake is amazing. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, my intake is, you're not special. It's like we all have that drawer full of crap in it that like we just
So
like
wait, you
throw stuff
secret
in.
shopped the person, your client?
No, wait. I was going to because we've done this to many of our clients. It's like secret shop their intake. And he emails me 15 minutes later and it's titled Abort Mission. And he says, hey, you're right. Please don't secret shop us. I did it. And it did not go as planned. And I'm just sitting
Okay.
there laughing. And I'm like, okay, good. That number three, I think I'm on number three, not getting enough Google reviews and not putting an emphasis on
Right.
that because that is something that you don't have to pay anyone necessarily. You can spiff your staff, but it is something relatively cheap.
So
And
that was actually like a question. That was like one of my questions, the next one actually. So I'm gonna try not to interrupt you right now. So like tell me more about keep going. Like why are they like how do you get them? You know, do you have to ask people to give them to you or what?
yeah,
Okay.
how do you get guests on your podcast? How do you
They
get
come to
any?
a lot of them come to me. They come to me sometimes. But anyway, so
I came to you, I guess. So yeah.
you do, and I was thrilled. So anyway, because this is great. But anyway, tell me more about Google reviews and the importance of it.
Yeah, so Google puts a lot of weight on any of their platforms. And
Okay.
at the end of the day, what Google really cares about is the user experience. So when
Okay.
somebody uses Google, and I'm not talking about from like seller standpoint, right? Like as an SEO agency, I'm talking about when I'm using Google as a user, when I'm looking for information, Google really cares about that experience from beginning to end. So having positive Google reviews helps Google because it's when somebody's, let's say someone's searching for a personal injury lawyer and they have a ton of reviews, that makes the user more comfortable.
Okay.
Right? It also impacts local rankings. So
Gotcha.
I have firms that are always asking like, what can I do to make this better? Like, what can I do to help you? And it's really just only that. Like, there's nothing else you can do. Like, we'll handle everything else from top to bottom, but just get Google reviews. And some firms are great at it. And some firms, it's like you would think I asked them for their firstborn. I'm like,
Really? So like
oh,
how is that? I mean, what do you tell them to do? Like, hey, just reach out to a couple good clients and say, hey, can you write me a review on Google? Like that would really help me out.
so it has to be part of your process as a lawyer. So, and I like to use PI as an example. So if you settled a case and you did a good job and the client understands that you did a good job, because I get it, some people just don't get it, then
Right.
you have absolutely asked for that review. Some people, when the client comes to pick up the check, that's when they ask. Some people use tools like Bird Eye or Podium. Some people have their own template. So Bird Eye, Podium, you can text message clients, kind of like when you go to AT&T or Verizon, and then you get a text message after the fact asking you how was your experience, right? There are tools
Right.
that can help you, but it's really, really, really important. And it goes into branding. You know, any brand is going to have reviews. And we are in a time in our, I don't want to say lives, but as a society, we are at a place where we want information and we want it quick.
It's so true. I think what you just said, so true about everything. Unbelievable. We want info, we want it quick, right? We want to know like what we're getting is good.
Right. It's not like back in the day where somebody would say, hey, go to this lawyer. And then you would call all of your network to see if, have you heard of this lawyer? Now you just, okay, great. You're referring me this lawyer,
Right.
but now I'm going to Google them because, you know, we all have so much power at our fingertips.
Crazy.
So we go and we Google the person that our friend referred us to. And if you don't have a good looking website, lawyers say to me that they've lost cases because someone said your website didn't look legit, or they go in there
Or
and
it doesn't look, it cannot look legit, and I don't want to, I don't want to use this word, but it can look like sort of cheap, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, I mean, even though you say you live in like a suburb and like you go to somebody's website, law firm website, and like they have like the city in the background or whatever, like it still looks nice. You know what I mean? Like, so make it look nice. Like people want their lawyer to have like a good, like have a nice like setting, have a nice website, have a not an antiquated look to them, and not an antiquated brand. I think, like, you know, like you mentioned, sort of people are into branding like more than ever now.
Yeah. We have so many options. Before, we just didn't have as many options, and the internet has really opened that up. So, does your website represent how good of a lawyer you are? Do your reviews represent that?
Right.
For me, it's very much like, some people don't care about the way they dress, but I think that's one of the ways that we can also represent.
Interesting. Okay.
We like the way people look when they're dressed a certain way. And people have an image because of TV.
Wait, what do you mean like dress? Wait, what do you mean? Like, oh, on
Like,
the website?
yeah,
Or-
no. Well, that too, but just in general, right? Like you could see someone dressed like super scrubby, and that's going to be an impression consciously or subconsciously, or you can see someone that's dressed up really nice, and that's going to have an impression again,
Super
subconsciously.
scrubby. That's like 1990s. That's amazing.
Well,
Cue the TLC, no scrubs.
I love that song.
It's a great tune.
And I was in middle school.
It's a great tune. Yeah, probably a little bit older than you. So, okay, no, I think you make great sense, and you know, the passion is like totally there. Like you have like such a theme of like you know, loving what you do. So
I do. I do love what I believe in what I do, and I've seen what I can do, and I see it every day. And we are passionate about it because, both of my parents went to law school. Both of my husband's parents went to law school.
Really? No
he
kidding.
He went to law school.
Where are they all located? Like your parents and his?
So, his parents, his mom is in Gainesville, Florida.
Okay.
She used to teach at the university there. She actually, I think, taught Spanish to law students. And then his dad is in Chile.
Okay.
He's originally from Chile, and both of my parents are in Mexico.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But my husband, I think he's 8th generation lawyer.
Really?
Yeah. They even have like plaques, and I don't know what happened to that plaque. We had it somewhere, but with like every single name that's like 8th generation straight.
I love that Mariano's like doing something different, like with his degree. I think that's really important. That's really notable. And like even to discover that your second year of law school, like while you're you're reading all this like constitutional law and like everything, like I think that's super cool. And it's like a great story that LawRank has. So, I think it's really awesome to like connect with you guys and like hear it from Maria Monroy.
Yeah, you got it. We just got really lucky. We always say like there's like a luck element to life.
Yeah.
And like he definitely got that, because it was like, and you know what the worst part is, and he'll never let me live this down.
Uh-oh.
We were in New York City that summer. So we were there for like 2 weeks, and he didn't want to leave the apartment because he was like, my brother got a case, and he's at the bottom or the top of the second page or bottom of the first page. I don't know why. And he like wanted to get him ranked higher. And I was livid. I was like, I want to go play in the city now. Like,
okay.
You're not getting paid for this. Like, what are you doing?
Wait, his brother got a case?
So yeah, he was doing the SEO for his brother, but just for shits and giggles, like literally.
Okay.
Like, he was just like fascinated by this idea.
Right.
And the thing about Mariano is that he's very talented in like so many different things. Like I'm just like good at one or two things, and like I'm very business minded, and I'm just like, I'm good at what I'm good at. But Mariano could have done like 1,000 things with his life. Like he was a stand-up comedian for like 12 years.
Do you have any like videos of that? Can you send me? Or?
So when he, I think when he applied to law school, he scrubbed the internet.
Oh, I would love to hear.
Oh, and anyway. He's like, yeah, he was hilarious, but he got to the point where,
That's great.
he was just kind of crass and was like, I can't apply to law school and have this. So like,
So wait, you were in New York City, and he's like, "Hey, my brother just got a case," but you wanted
yes.
to go out and like see New York City. So I don't understand. Like, what was the problem?
So from the work he was doing, his brother got a case. But it's not like he was getting paid to do this. He was doing it for fun. And he was in law school, and I thought he was going to go be a lawyer. And I was like, can we go like explore the city? But he wanted to do SEO. He's like, no, I'm like this close to cracking the code. And I was really
Okay.
pissed off. And like at the time we had our firstborn was like 9 months. We were like stuck in this tiny apartment that my sister-in-law used to live in.
Where did you live at the time?
San Diego or LA. I can't.
All right, so
LA
you were
at the
visiting.
time.
Gotcha. All right.
LA. And I wanted to go explore it. And he wanted to do SEO. And we got into like this big fight because he wouldn't like leave. And he's like, you go explore by yourself. And I was like, I can't believe you're doing this for free. Like, and now he's always like, oh, but you know, you doubted me. And I was like, well, in my defense, he never said, I'm doing this to start a business. Like if he had said that,
How many years ago was that?
like 10.
Okay. Can we feature Mariano on our feed? I'd love to. His lawyer story, because
you can. He's very much like,
no, I mean like that was sort of like a nice like offering to you. It's
yeah,
like, you should be like, yeah, you should no. So like you should write it, or he should submit a story, and we put his photo up, the LawRank, whatever.
Yeah,
like, I think it would be amazing. We'll do you too. Like, why not? You're like Maria
know.
Monroy. Like, you are for okay. So let's move off of that for a second. Like, you are like quintessential like going to these events. Like you're always. I mean, I think it's amazing. Like, not only do I see like great family things on your stories on Instagram, but you go to the and I'm just sort of I'm not even familiar with them, to be honest, because like Lawyer Stories hasn't had a presence in any of them. We haven't really needed to. Like, it's not really. It's like my side thing. But like you go to a lot of these conferences, and I feel like another like kind of connection to your passion is like you have a lot of friends at these things, and maybe a lot of clients are your friends. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and it was
Okay.
it's really interesting because we used to have this rule because at first it was really just Mariano was the one that was client facing. And he had a couple bad experiences with clients because he's just very much like a very like he's just like so sweet. I'll leave it at that. So eventually he was like, no more like these friendships with clients. He's like, I'm not doing that again. Blah, blah. I don't want to be client facing. I just want to do SEO. It's what I love. And now I think we have 25, 30 employees. I don't even know where we're at right now.
Really?
But,
you have 25, 30 employees?
Yeah, somewhere there.
Congratulations. That's amazing. Are they all virtual or no?
Everyone's virtual.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So go ahead. So tell me.
So we have this rule of like no more like, you know, and then I started going to these conferences.
Yeah.
And then I started making friends with people that aren't our clients. And then I started hanging out with our clients. And then I started like, now we've even traveled with clients. Like clients have become our friends, even though we had like this rule for like a hot minute there because he had like one bad experience with one client.
No, I think it's amazing. And but I could totally pick that up from Instagram and not even really talking to you that much. I mean, besides DMs, like I could totally pick up. And I think that's a really interesting thing because you're willing. A lot of people that, I work in like a totally different sector than this, like love my job, have a great job full time, but you're able to intermingle, your career with like friends and like you're doing work for them. And I think that speaks to your passion for it all. I want to ask you a question before we get too far away from it. What locations are you able to service? I mean, it's virtual, so can you do law firms from Alaska to like LA or what?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Anywhere in the country, and we are exploring Canada right now.
Cool.
We used to turn away Canada, but now we're exploring it.
We know some Canadians, so here at Lawyer Stories. So if you ever want to meet like anybody, like we'll be, we'll definitely help you out there. But yeah, that's super cool. Like, what advice would you give in a law firm that's a little older, that's trying to kind of come into their own into the 21st century and not be so outdated? What advice would that be from you?
Be open to learning and definitely learn. Because if you just let someone close you on something and you don't educate yourself, I like it's like you're the biggest target, in my opinion, because unfortunately in the digital space, it's a known thing that it's the Wild West. And there's a lot of really, really shady agencies. And oftentimes I speak to firms that are just so jaded. Like they come so jaded, and they're so hesitant, and they've just had so many bad experiences. One of the things that I'm really passionate about, and anytime I speak at a conference, it's really just educational. Like I'm not even trying to sell anything. Actually, I think even like a lot of the questions that you're asking me feel more salesy than I'm even used to, because for me,
Oh,
it's
really?
just like, yeah, for me, I don't try to sell anything. It's just like, let me educate you. Like, this is what it takes. This is how we do it. And it has to be a good fit on both ends. We don't just work with anybody. I've had fired clients. We avoided contracts. I have told people on initial calls, this is not going to be a good fit.
Okay.
We want those good relationships, like you said, that even turn into friendships sometimes inadvertently. I was kind of running late to this podcast because one of our clients called me about something not even to do with law or digital marketing. They're like, "Yeah, I want to travel to Mexico." Like it was like super random. And, so for us, it's important that it's a good fit on both ends, and that the client understands what it is that we're doing.
So what kind of clients would you say should come to LawRank?
No jerks. Like if you're a jerk,
No
please don't call
jerks. Okay.
me. Clients that they understand that this takes a while, but they want to do this right with Google. We're not here to cheat the algorithm. We're here to give Google what it actually wants. We want to make you an authority in the market. Typically, it's a law firm that has done this in the past, but it doesn't have to be that. If you're going to go off on your own and you're looking for, digital exposure, I will say that we are on the higher end price wise, because if you really want to compete digitally, we need the budget, because when it comes to link building and content, those are two things that are really, really expensive.
Right.
And if we don't have the budget, it doesn't matter how much knowledge we have and how much intent we have. We can't compete with the top ranked competitors. We don't have standard pricing. So it really just depends on your market and how competitive it is.
That's great. So how do you like being a podcast host?
I love it. I honestly like it so much. It's just about that. It's just about the fact that I like it, because when I initially hired our producers, they were like, talking numbers. And I'm like, I don't care about any of that. Like, I really just want to have fun with it.
Yeah.
I even told them, don't tell me numbers. And they came and told me numbers, because we did very well very quickly.
Yep.
So I love it. I think it's really, really fun. It's really great to connect. And like one thing you and I haven't touched on yet is that I think that our lives and like our childhood, our limiting beliefs, our trauma, the level of stress, how healthy we eat, we exercise, like what kind of people we surround ourselves with. If you're a business owner or a lawyer, even if you're not a business owner, that's going to spill over into your work. I mean, if you're anybody, that's going to spill over into your work. I mean, we've all had that coworker or employee that is going through something really traumatic, and it impacts their work.
Yep.
So part of the passion of my podcast is to talk about that, talk about adversity, talk about, stress, talk about health, talk about manifestation, like all sorts of things that I think all impact it, right?
And as you quote on your podcast is conversations to build a better firm and be a better attorney. That's what it says, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and you've had a couple episodes, and I went and I listened to like your intro, and I think it's awesome. I can tell you really, it's on your website. Everybody should go check out your website at LawRank, and it's super cool. So do you have any, I know you have a couple good guests. So let's shout out to Bob Simon. I'm not sure. I know you had another one, and then how often are you planning on releasing the podcast?
So right now we're doing one episode a week.
Good.
Yeah. And I get to record live at conferences. So
really? Wow.
Yeah.
How do you set that up?
We have a whole setup. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow. I mean, if
Bob's recording was live at his conference at Lottie
was
Brown,
it
which,
okay?
by the way, is one of the most fun conferences ever. No
Which one was
joke,
that?
Lottie Brown.
Oh, I was gonna go. I swear to see Snoop Dogg, but
It was so much fun.
I went to a couple fish shows because that's just I'm a Northeast guy and I had to go on a mini fish tour. But
I go.
I couldn't do it with the littles. But I was talking to Simon Law Group. Shout out to Teresa Deep. Like I was.
Oh, she's another one of my favorites.
I know she's amazing. Like I've never met her, and I hope to meet her at Chris Summit. Like hopefully, I'm gonna meet hopefully a lot of these like virtual friends I've had for 4 years if they all show up at the Chris Summit.
Bob will be there.
What's up?
Bob will be there.
Yeah, Bob said he's going.
We're trying to plan an event right now, so I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, for sure. Like, is it so? What did I miss? Like, do you want to say anything else about your podcast? Like, I think I'm pumped about your podcast. Like, I love being a podcast host. Like, I have a great time, and I love your logo. I think it's tremendous, and like you have it on your website, and I think you're gonna do a great job at it.
Thank you. I'm really excited.
Tip the scale.
Tip the scales, yeah. As a business owner, you go through so many ups and downs in so many ways. It's tough to be a business owner and to have employees and grow. And I've been in management my whole life, but I mean, at 18, I was managing, but you learn so much about processes and delegating. So it's so many subjects that I'm passionate about. And that's why I didn't want to make it just the marketing podcast, because I've had some conversations. I mean, you record way before things air, but I've had some conversations that are just like on like adversity and just like really shitty childhood situations. And I've had conversations that are just on like running a law firm. By the time this airs, my episode with Chad Dudley will have already aired.
Nice.
That was one of my favorite episodes. Nice. Because he knows so much about delegating and running a law firm and processes. And I was learning. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I'm excited.
That's so awesome. Like I have a lot of fun with it. I think you will too. I think you have the personality to love it and to get all your people on there and talk to them. It's like an additional thing you can sort of do. What else? Do we miss anything tonight, Maria? Or like, do you want to say anything else to the Lawyer Stories community?
No, I think that's it. This was fun.
Yeah, no, it was terrific. I was so excited to have you on. Thanks for being here. Stay right there. And Lawyer Stories community, thanks for tuning in. Wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves.